Welcome to Stop Overthinking, the podcast for overthinkers, people pleasers, and perfectionists who want to feel calm and confident enough to handle whatever life sends your way. I'm your host, Kristen Odegaard, a women's life and mindset coach, lifelong educator, and recovering perfectionist. I'm going to be talking about your feelings. It's something I talk about a whole lot. So you have probably heard the expression or even said it yourself, like, he makes me so mad. Or to a child, you might be like, oh, you're making mommy so sad today. And we have really normalized that terminology as well as that way of thinking that other people make us feel a certain way. And the reality is it's not true. It's just something that we didn't necessarily talk about. Maybe we didn't know about it, but it can be really destructive to ourselves and to our relationships to put our feelings on other people. So for people pleasers, a lot of how this starts out is that as a child, you are looking for that validation and that appreciation from other people. You believe and have been told that you are responsible for somebody else's feelings, and that if you act a certain way or say certain things, they are going to respond in a way that you can expect, okay, normally a more positive way. And you are trying to make them happy, make them appreciate you, make them feel a certain way. And it's all a bunch of BS. So I know when I first started hearing this, it just was like, phew. So if this is not making sense to you, just stay with me and keep following along, and because this is a lot of the different things that I talk about, and it is so contrary to how we have been raised and socialized. It's one of those things, as my mom said when I was growing up, like, if everybody else was going to jump off a bridge, does that mean you do it too? Just because it's normalized doesn't mean that it is true. So here's the deal. Other people are going to say words and do actions, and you interpret them into your brain through all of your filters, how you're feeling that day, to just how much sleep you've had, to your past experiences, all of those filters, and it runs through, and you interpret those words and those actions to mean something. That's how our brain works. That interpretation is what causes your feelings. How you're thinking about it, how your nervous system reacts to it, that is what is creating your feelings. It is not the actual words of the other person. It is not the actions of the other person or of the situation. So a child throwing a tantrum isn't making you frustrated. The child is having a tantrum. It's you internalizing it, saying, what is going on? I don't have time for this. Why is he always screaming? Or any of those things that are going through your head. It's not about the tantrum. And I know that can seem just really like, no, it is. I hate that. But it's how you are processing it. Because I can walk by, if this is in a public place, I can walk by and see that same tantrum, and I'm going to have a different response to it. One, because it's not my kid, okay? And so it's not the tantrum. We don't all react the same way. It's how you are interpreting these things. So how you use this language, once you start being aware of this, is starting to take responsibility for your own feelings. And this is a really good thing, because you're not putting your happiness, your sadness, your frustration in other people's hands. You are responsible for that. And that means that you have the ability to change things as it works for you. For people pleasers, this is also really, really important to start understanding that you are not responsible for somebody else's feelings. Even if they tell you that you are responsible for their feelings, you are not. Now, they may not understand this, and it's not up to you necessarily to explain it. Bringing that calm and less overthinking and second guessing to yourself, feeling confident in all of the ways that you behave. So, starting to separate that. Now, can you feel frustrated when somebody is doing something that you don't like? Absolutely. Just notice, even in your brain, like, I feel frustrated when I hear you saying these things. That's different than you make me feel frustrated. You make me frustrated. I feel frustrated when I see you sitting there on the couch when I've asked you to do something. That's normal. That's the change in the language. You're taking ownership for your feelings instead of putting it on the other person. Okay? Because again, the person sitting on the couch is just a thing. It's how you're interpreting it. Either that I've asked you multiple times to help me with XYZ, and that's going to be filtered one way, or maybe this person is sitting on the couch because they've been sick. So sitting on the couch isn't the issue. It's how you are interpreting the situation. So we just need to understand that little tweak as to how we react. We are reacting to things or responding to things. Our feelings are from our brain and our nervous system and a response. Okay, so you can own those feelings. You can feel sad, you can feel frustrated, you can feel mad, you can feel joy, whatever those things are, and they're yours. It's not another person that is handing these emotions to you any more than you can hand an emotion to another person. You can do things, and that's why for people pleasers this is so hard, because you are turning yourselves inside out trying to get this response from another person, and the other person is completely in charge of their own emotions. So sometimes it's not what they need or what they want, and you don't get the response that you're expecting, and then it's like completely personal to you. But how they're feeling about what you do is theirs. That's the whole thing. So when you learn to kind of have that separation, it is such a relief off of your shoulders. I know it seems really scary, like they're going to be mad at me or do some of those things. And those are things that we have to negotiate with. But it really is like this giant backpack of cement blocks that you're carrying around, trying to be responsible for other people's feelings that you can't do. It's impossible. And so when you are able to kind of let that go, it doesn't mean that you still don't do things for people, but you're doing it from a place of, I want to do this, or I'm choosing to do this, rather than I'm doing this for this type of response. So this is the dual-edged sword. Perfectionists are often people pleasers as well. Not all people pleasers are perfectionists, but most people with those high achieving tendencies, they want people to like them, they want to be cared for, they want to belong. That is all of what people pleasing is about. We learn this at a very young age, often because we heard things like, don't make mommy sad, okay? Or behave, because your behavior is a reflection of other people's things. So it was all of this tied into what we do impacts other people's feelings. And it was just this giant mess. And again, I don't know if we didn't understand it or people didn't care or whatever, but we were just ingrained with so many of these concepts that just don't make sense and really aren't true. So we have to be able to just pivot. Take responsibility for your own feelings. Can another person do things and you feel frustrated? Yes, absolutely. But understand it's yours, not so much the other person. This can be a conversation that people need to hear more than once, that you might need to talk through multiple different times, but I encourage you just to notice your language. And if you have children, be aware of what you're saying. If you have a partner and you're, making them responsible for your feelings, be aware of what you're saying. Catch that and change it from you make me feel or you make me this emotion to I feel this emotion. Not you make me, but I feel. Just that minor pivot can be a big shift in letting go of people-pleasing tendencies, taking responsibility for your own feelings, and is a way to actually calm down your brain because you are naming what's going on inside. It's not a blame. It's like, oh, here's what's going on in my body. Okay, I've got this. Not somebody else waving this magic wand or puppet sticks or whatever that are making you do something. All right, so I'd love to hear your thoughts and comments on this, and you guys have a great week.
Thank you for listening to the Stop Overthinking podcast with Kristen Odegaard. If you enjoyed this episode, please share it with someone else who would benefit from the message. To learn more about working with me and links to social media and free resources, head over to my website, coachwithkristen.com. That's Kristen spelled Kristen. Be sure to subscribe to the podcast so you don't miss future episodes. Have a great week.